What's up, guys, and thank you again for watching another episode of Footballer's Advice. In today's video, I'm going to go over the winter transfer window for 2018, and for all my new subscribers out there, I'm going to first break down what the transfer window is, and then give you a list of dates for each country in terms of when their transfer window is. That way you can better prepare if you want to go knock on doors overseas, or if you want to attend a couple of these combines located here in the United States, or some of these European showcases as well. So first, what is the transfer window? The transfer window is a specific period of time that allows teams to transfer players to their team. Either it be from the higher leagues or the lower leagues, and then also other leagues around the world. And the dates for this transfer window is regulated by that country's football association. Now, there are some rules and regulations that allow teams to sign players after the transfer window, but because I don't know those specifically, I'm not going to speak on that because I don't want to give you guys bad information. So as a general rule of thumb, make sure that when you're trying out or you're contacting these professional soccer or football teams, you're either doing it before the transfer window or right when the transfer window begins. This is because it gives you more time for teams to either assess your skills and see if they want to sign you, and then also if they do want to sign you, it gives them more time to fill out the paperwork needed if you're a foreign player. A foreign player is anyone who does not hold that country's citizenship. So if you're a dual passport holder and you have one in your home country and you have one in Europe, that's great because this allows you to be signed easier and quicker. However, if you just have a passport in your home country and you go overseas to another country, maybe like somewhere in Europe and you're from the United States, it's going to take a lot more time because that country has to apply for a work permit or a work visa in order for you to play soccer or football in their country. So remember, you want to make sure that you do everything before or during the beginning of the transfer window. That way it gives you more time. The benefit of also contacting and trying out for teams before or during the beginning of the transfer window is, let's say a team's not interested in signing you after you go on trial. Well, if you're abroad overseas and you're already in that country, why not take the extra time that you have before the transfer window ends to go knock on a couple more doors and see if you can try out for other teams? Maybe that team isn't interested in you, but maybe they also know another team or a coach that needs a player. This is a great way for you to maximize your time when you're abroad overseas. Another thing to remember as well, guys, is when you're contacting these teams and you think there may be a lot of roster spots available, there actually may not be as many as you think. This is because during the transfer window, a lot of teams already know who they want to bring in, either before the season starts, or maybe they need some help during the middle of the season and they need a goal scorer. And maybe they know of a player in the lower leagues that they can bring up on loan, or even someone from the higher leagues that they can bring down on loan. Another thing to remember about the transfer window is that there's two transfer windows within a given season. There's one at the beginning of the season and then also in the middle of the season. Now, for countries like Scandinavia, which includes Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland, their transfer window, the very first one, is actually in the winter because their season starts right around May and April, and then it goes all the way until October. And so the second transfer window for them would be during the summer. This is around the middle of July to the middle of August. The same also applies for the US. They're on the same schedule and season as Scandinavia, so their first transfer window is in the winter and the second is in the summer. And then if you look at other countries like Germany, Italy, Spain, and England, their transfer window, the first one is actually in the summer, and then the second transfer window for them is actually in the winter. So again, guys, remember, if you're going to attend any of these combines or European showcases that third-party companies do in order to go over to Europe and showcase yourself to other teams, or even if you want to go overseas like I did in Sweden and just knock on doors and ask for opportunities, you want to make sure that you're doing it either before or during the beginning of the transfer window. That way it gives you more time, and that way you can actually be signed by professional teams. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and look at the dates for each country's transfer window within Europe and then also the United States. So the first transfer window we have in Europe is Belgium, and their transfer window is from January 1st to January 31st. Then you have Denmark, which is January 5th to January 31st. Germany, which is January 1st to January 31st. France, which is January 1st to January 31st. Greece, January 1st to January 31st. Italy, which is January 3rd to January 31st. Luxembourg, which is January 1st to January 31st. Malta, which is January 2nd to January 31st. The Netherlands, which is January 3rd to January 31st. Austria, which is January 1st to January 31st. Spain, which is January 1st to January 31st. Turkey, which is January 4th to January 31st. England, which is January 1st to January 31st. Scotland, which is January 1st to January 31st. Wales, which is January 1st to January 31st. Northern Ireland, which is January 1st to January 31st. Gibraltar, which is January 1st to January 31st. Portugal, which is January 3rd to February 2nd. Ireland, which is December 1st of 2017 to February 22nd of 2018. Estonia, which is January 2nd to March 1st. Lithuania, which is January 1st to March 1st. Latvia, which is January 2nd to March 2nd. Norway, which is January 8th to March 31st. Sweden, which is January 8th to March 31st. Serbia, which is January 15th to February 11th. Switzerland, which is January 16th to February 15th. Finland, which is January 17th to April 10th. Croatia, which is January 18th to February the 15th. The Czech Republic, which is January 26th to February 22nd. Poland, which is February 1st to February 28th. Iceland, which is February 21st to May 15th. Cyprus, which is January 1st to January 31st. And Russia, which is January 25th to February 24th. And the United States, which is February 7th to May 1st of 2018. What I will also do is leave in the description box all the dates that I listed, just in case if you had a hard time hearing what I said. And so that wraps up the transfer window dates for Europe and the United States for 2018. I hope you guys gained some really knowledgeable information about the transfer window as well. That way, when you guys go over and knock on doors, or if you attend any of these combine or European showcases, that you're more educated and you know, hey, maybe this combine or European showcase is maybe too late in the transfer window and it may not give me the best time to sign for a team. Maybe instead I go overseas and I knock on doors asking for those tryouts, or maybe there's a better combine or trial to attend. That way you can maximize your time and sign for a professional team. As always, guys, thank you again for watching another episode of Footballer's Advice, and I will see you in the next video.